This legal? Entire paycheck withheld. I'll try and keep this simple. Daughter was overpaid due to the hourly rate being higher than agreed upon. Daughter's first job, so she's learning how to read a paycheck stub, etc. Boss tells her, we will reduce your rate below what you should be making to make up the difference until the amount balances out. The problem. This next paycheck the boss withheld the entire check. Big fat $0. From what I read online, in my state, employer must pay minimum wage during the period of the balance being paid off. I am beyond livid, and this bitch fucked with the wrong parent. I don't want to be a helicopter parent, but fucking my daughter out of her entire pay is beyond fucked in my opinion. Edit. Daughter is a minor. I'm trying not to be a helicopter parent, but she's a minor. I just found out nothing is recorded in the payroll software for this pay period. No federal tax, state tax, hours work, nothing. Only evidence my daughter has for time worked is clocking in out. It is not legal, but Gov agency does not consider this a big legal issue. Your daughter can and should, however, still report to the DOL. The overpayment could have easily been corrected by the payroll company doing a takeback. It works as it sounds. The payroll company reverses the overpayment amount out of your daughter's account back to the employer's account. I've done this via my payroll provider and it was ridiculously simple. Should probably start by listing the state. How much did they overpay? Duration of time? Hourly rate? So the manager just fat-fingered her paycheck? Did it seem intentional? I would personally give the manager a call and talk it out if that was my daughter, while treating it like a learning lesson. That's shitty to hear, but not surprised. I learned a useful thing when suing my former boss for unpaid wages and no time clock. The judge accepted my Google timeline for that day because I most certainly did not spend 7:56 a.m. to 7:03 p.m. at my work's address not working. That fool tried telling the judge I hadn't been there at all. I like doing that in court and getting paid and having a public record of this man's lies. I don't know about the legality of your daughter's boss's behavior, but if you need to prove being somewhere, a judge may accept Google timeline, and I keep mine on even though it makes me a little paranoid. 2. Best of luck to your daughter. Not recording any of her worked hours or paying any payroll taxes for the period is 100. Illegal. At least in the U.S. They legally have to pay state and fed withholding. Source: worked in payroll in the U.S. Definitely report to the DOL. Edit. Clarity. Typo. Definitely report this to your state DOL. Federal won't do much about it, but state will. If you can, report this in person with physical proof. You'll get faster action if you can do this. If not, be prepared to upload good photos or scan and save of the documents you'll need to send as proof. Just quit. Employer sounds like an untrustworthy clown. It's not really quitting. It's firing your boss. If your daughter is a minor, you should question why her paycheck is $0 and then act accordingly. DOL wage theft complaint. If your daughter is an adult, this is her battle to fight. In some states, her started pay is established pay rate unless recorded otherwise in legal binding documents. If not, then she is entitled to continue receiving that rate unless she legally agrees to a lower rate. That being said, it doesn't stop the business from releasing her if she doesn't agree to the lower rate. Wage repayment for a company mistake is all too common in most states, with a full pay plus a noted reduction in the pay. But zero pay is illegal ASF. This absolutely needs to be pursued. Whether it's legal or not depends on what country you're in, but you haven't given us that detail. The way this could work is they request cash from her while her paychecks keep coming. The debt and paycheck shouldn't mix. A payment plan would be reasonable. This is a perfectly viable FLSA lawsuit. She's a minor. You should report this to state and federal Department of Labor peeps. Even if nothing comes of it, audits are expensive, and the employer doesn't get to recoup those costs. Depending on how the paycheck was structured, it may be legal. If it was $X for Y hours applied to $Z overpayment, so the check was $Z$XY, then it's a dick move, but probably legal. If it was we overpaid you, so we aren't going to clock the hours till we think everything is even, so the check was for 0 hours, that is illegal as hell. Also note that if it was ever stated that daughter was going to make $X $4 per hour and they tried to retroactively decided to only pay your daughter $by per hour, that's also illegal. This should be reported to your Department of Labor in your state. This could be tax fraud. Send in a complaint to the IRS with proof of this practice. Once they finish the audit, you could be awarded a percentage of the recovered taxes, even if you don't get paid. A nice audit should stop this asinine and probably illegal act. FAFO. Report them to the Department of Labor. Not really legal. Doesn't mean they'll go after them, but you can give the doll a case. Kroger refused to send my check of $366 for months because I walked out. I had to make several calls and fight it and threaten a suit before I got it. Try it and see what happens at least. In the meanwhile, she shouldn't work. Refuse to go if you aren't being paid. She needs to not show up ever again. If they went back on an agreement once, they'll do any sort of shady shit again in the future. It's her first job, and it sounds like she just started. She doesn't owe them crap. Just don't show up again. They screwed up, not her. They broke the agreement, not her. She should find another job and never darken their door again. If it happened because of an oversight by the employer should take the loss. Nope. Not legal, and you should contact an employment lawyer for guidance. Definitely file a complaint with the doll either way. Employers must pay you for time worked. The doll is very clear about this. Depending on your state, the employer may be able to retrieve the overpayment. But there's a specific process for it, and the wage repayment cannot put the earnings below minimum wage. Your employer cannot pay you less than the current minimum wage, even if they legit made a mistake. She has a valid claim for wages. Doll will take it from there. Make sure you tell her to half-ass it until the money comes back, and maybe even after. It's a violation of most every state's laws to not pay at least minimum wage after withholding from a paycheck. I believe you can sue for this. Employers are protected from stealing from you. I dare you to take something from them and you're a criminal. Lol. You're not being a helicopter parent, you're being a parent. Did your daughter work the same amount of hours each week, and was the incorrect pay rate exactly double? Were her hours of the overpayment possibly doubled and she was paid half at the overtime rate? Has she confirmed that the total amount was paid back and her next check won't be short? If they actually overpaid, it's probably legal to make it up. Not like withholding pay to pay for a work accident, which is illegal. What's fucked and I still don't get? How much was she overpaid? $2 an hour? Why is that a week's worth of wages? She must have been overpaid by at least more than twice her actual rate. Also, how much is her regular rate? I'd really like to see the weekly breakdown on what a normal week looks like, to see just exactly how much this boss has screwed over your daughter. It really depends on the state. I'm a bookkeeper and I used to run payroll. It's been a while, but from what I remember, the state that I was in restricted it by percentage. The employer can't withhold an amount greater than a certain percentage of the pay.